Hello, welcome back to another video on astrology. We are back again with Dr. Y.V. Subbarao, and as you all know that this is part of the series about Hindu culture, and we are going to do episode 5, and the topic for the day is Devayana and Pitrayana. If these terms are something that you have never heard of, don't worry about it. Dr. Y.V. Subbarao is going to educate you on that, and it's basically something to do, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's something to do with the journey of the soul. So it should be interesting for all the spiritual people out there. And the question about what happens to us after death, where do we go, what is the method, whatever happens after the moment of death, most people do not know. And this knowledge is available right from the Vedic times, and Dr. Y.V. Subbarao is an expert on it. And let's without further delay, let's ask the one and only Dr. Y.V. Subbarao to take over. Please welcome, sir, to this conversation.
To start with, I read the question from the viewer.
Okay.
There is only one question to be answered.
Fine, sir.
Sir, between Satabhishekam and Shashtiyabda Purti, that is the rituals, the 60th year completion and the 80th year completion, there are two more rituals that are being observed. And is there any rationale in that? He asked me about 70th birthday and 77 years, 7 months, 7 days, another function.
Okay.
So between these two, 60th year Shashtiyabda Purti and 80th year completion Satabhishekam, there are no doubt some other rituals also take place. In astrology, we have the 7th house from the Lagna signifying Maraka.
Okay.
And the 7th Lord signifies Maraka as such. So in fact, the 2nd house also signifies Maraka. Here I have to say a little bit about astrology. The 2nd house is certainly essential for the Maraka of the native.
Okay.
Without the 2nd house Maraka in the Bhukti at the appropriate time of the longevity, as mentioned in the horoscope, as seen in the horoscope, nothing can happen. Any number of times the 7th house comes. The 7th house is mostly related to the death of others, kith and kin, relatives, friends, so on and so forth.
Okay.
So the 7th house signifying the death of others can also have a 2nd house signification in addition to that. But 2nd house signification is essential for the death of the self. And it may be supplemented by 7th house also. But 2nd house is essential.
Okay.
So that is the distinction between 2nd house and 7th house Marakastanas in astrology. The 2nd house is for the native, and the 7th house is for natives' relationships and friends.
Good.
So in that context, the 7th house at the 70th year, because it has the numeral 7, people normally are afraid of the 7th house that Maraka will take place. And therefore, other rituals are taken place in between the Shashti Purti and also Satabhishekam at the 70th year. It requires so many rituals in that. That is Mrityunjaya Homam, Ayush Homam, and Dhanvantari Homam, and so on and so forth, to see that the couple will lead a happy life and long live the couple. Similarly, there is another one at the 88 years, 8 months, 8 days. I already told you about the Sahasra Darshanam. This is coupled with the Satabhishekam, but in some cases Satabhishekam is different and Sahasra Chandra Darshanam is celebrated separately. And in addition to that, there is one more thing which the reader has forgot to mention. The 99 years, 9 months, 9 days of age. Again, because it is almost nearing a century, so some ritual regarding worshipping of the Ayush Homam and all that takes place.
Okay.
There is another one that is called Mahadivya Radharohanam at 105 years, 8 months, 8 days of age.
Okay.
So that is another one that comes at the prime total age of 105 years and all. So
Okay.
and then after 120 is the maximum maximum age according to Vishwatara Dasha system astrology. So this is the rationale behind in celebrating the 70th year function and also 77th year 7 months, 7 days ritual, because 7th house has the signification from astrology.
Okay, sir. So now we'll start with the topic.
Pitrayana and Devayana.
Yes, sir.
Today's topic under series 2. This is episode 5 and part 9 in the first instance is Pitrayana, and it is followed by Devayana part 10. So the first part, Pitrayana. These are the two modes of journey of the soul after death.
Okay.
The journey of the soul after death takes different modes. One is the path of the ancestors, and the other is the path of those who have completely got their soul liberated from death birth cycle. But in the Pitrayana, there are different modes depending on the quantum of good or bad that's being carried on in this life, and also that is already in store as Sanchita Karma and Agama Karma in store. So the Prarabdha Karma, while experiencing in this life, we also accumulate some more karma, fresh and independent, because of actions performed during the free will. So what is free will today becomes a fate tomorrow. So all these things added up, the Sanchita Karma, Agama Karma, and the free will converted into karma for the next birth, all combined together and have summed up into a suitable life for the next birth. So if the quantum of good is less, we go to higher plane at a lower level. The more the quantum of good that is being done or performed, meritorious deeds, he goes to higher worlds. There are seven higher worlds starting from Bhuloka, that is the earth, this world. If there is absolutely no good at all, the person upon death is immediately reborn. There is no interval between death and rebirth, because he is to carry on all the effects of the bad deeds since he has done nothing. And here I must tell the viewers that the two columns, Punyam and Papam, they run parallel. Unlike what we have, the credit and debit in our passbook, and finally balanced, we find the balance that credit minus debit is balanced. Here there is no such account. These two accounts, credit and debit, this Papam and Punyam, run parallel. These two columns will be there. You will be awarded benefits because of your good actions in the next one, and punishment for the bad deeds. One minus the other does not arise, because experience shows that if we have done more good and the bad is subtracted from it, we should have been left with a life that is completely good. But experience tells that even in a good life also, majority of the good life, we find some bad also happening. Therefore, completely it is not enshrined that one minus the other. The karma accumulating on account of good and on account of bad are not actually equated and then subtracted one from the other, and the balance is restored to us, is not the case. Okay. That is the case with our bank account, but not with our fate and all that. Okay. Therefore, Pitrayana will naturally, if we have not done any good, it will definitely bring us immediate rebirth. So the interval is practically less. If we have done something good, our soul sets sail to a higher plane, higher and higher. There are 7 lokas, as I said, because in all there is 14 lokas. Astronomy knows only one universe, but religion knows 14 universes. That is, therefore, it is called a multiverse. Okay. And our world is only one universe with our world and solar systems. It is called one universe, but there are 14 universes actually in religion. And from Bhuloka to Bhuvarloka, Sovarloka, Maharloka, Tapaloka, Japaloka, Tapaloka, and Satyaloka or Brahmaloka. These are the 7. The first loka is the Bhuloka. And below that there are 7. These 7 lokas are when the quantum of sin is beyond proportion to be born, given the birth as a human being, he is actually born as a serpent or some such thing and pushed down to the lower lokas, the 7 hellish lokas, where it is all full of water, and in the Nagaloka that is called, there are 7, that's completely serpents, there is no sunshine. Whatever little light that we get is only the reflected light of the precious diamonds and other things that are there in that. And there is also a notion that cobras will have a diamond on their hood when they become very old. So it is in that context that there is no sunshine in the Nagalokas, but the sunshine they get, the shine they get is purely one that is reflected by these various facets of the faces of diamonds and other these precious stones. Therefore, the quantum of good, but even then, while being in the hellish lokas as a snake or even some other species other than human beings, we find some are actually having done good in the service of the Almighty. There are 9 divine serpents. Anantam Vasukim Sesham Padmanabhancha Kambalam Sankapalam Dattarashram Taksakam Kaliyam Tadha. So you have got Anantam Vasukim Sesham Padmanabham and Kalki as well as Kaliyam, Vasuki, so on and so forth. These are the 9 divine serpents which are in the service of God even today. At the time of actually milking the ocean for nectar, Vasuki has actually rendered itself as a rope. Ananta Seshu holds the entire 14 universes on its multiple hoops. So it is Vishnu at the bottom, and Vishnu seems to have been sleeping on 6 beds of the softest nature possible. But even then he felt a little irritation when all these beds were turned up and down. At the below the 5th one, there seemed to be a small relic of the peacock that was actually irritating him.
Okay.
So see the sensitivity. Then immediately Ananta Seshu offered himself to be his bed for him.
Okay.
That's why Padmanabha Swami has become Ananta Padmanabha Swami.
Ananta Padma. Okay.
So this Ananta is actually beyond any dimension. He has so many multiple hoops that he holds the entire 14 universes together, starting from Bhuloka, the 7 upper worlds. Therefore, from there we start. So the Pitrayana is one particular aspect where, depending upon the quantum, we go. It is said that we have 2 bodies. One is the physical body that we see ourselves in the mirror. The other one is the subtle body which we can see only if we divert our mind towards the inner self. So this inner body will always vibrate with the good actions that we perform and store that frequency. The physical body vibrates with all the bad doings and then it records the vibrations. Therefore, the physical body vibration is of a particular frequency, and that of the good actions performed are regarded by the subtle body of the Sushma Sarira, that is the astral body, that is of a different frequency. In fact, our Artha is a particular frequency to which we are all fundamentally oriented. Artha has got a frequency of 7.83. Our brain and other things function only exactly at the 7.83, that's why we are all fundamental to it. All other species are harmonically responding to the 7.83 because that is less. Therefore, human being, normal human being has 7.83, and if he has been doing good things, the subtle body records higher frequencies with it. Depending on the frequency after the death, the soul actually departs with both the physical body's vibrations and also astral body vibrations. Depending on the vibrations of the good actions, the subtle body takes the physical body in a different form. That is the 5 Panchabhutas. Not as a body as such, but 5 Panchabhutas. Along with it, with all the vibrations, to a particular loka which matches with that frequency. Up to Brahmaloka, there is a frequency. Therefore, depending on the frequency to which our good actions match, we go and settle there after death. And there is an interval between death and rebirth. So we have lived enough in this world. Live and let live should be our policy, so that we absent ourselves for a very, very long time on this earth. So let us spend time in the higher lokas. That is possible only by doing good actions. For the small bad actions that we may do out of some compulsions or some such thing, we have got to come back and take rebirth. So this is the essence of Pitrayana. And Devayana is one wherein it is said that we are all called sinners. So sinners have a future because they have got a rebirth. Whereas saints have a past. They don't have any rebirth. What all is said of a saint is only the past and nothing else. So saints have past and sinners have a future. Therefore, it is in that sense, Pitrayana and Devayana is totally different, wherein the good is so much that it is Nishkama Karma, that he doesn't get anything or expect anything in return, and therefore not obliged to be born again. And it is up to him, he has the volition to be reborn, to do some Loka Kalyanam and all that. Otherwise, he can stay with as an associate of Brahma. Being an associate with Brahma for some more time, he can also catapult himself to higher lokas, Vaikuntha Loka, that is which is higher above the Brahma Loka. It is still, these dimensions are several millions of yojanas that we cannot think of even going by mind, but it's only with the greatest of frequency that we can go. And that will be dealt in detail in the next part. That is the last one of this episode, the entire series. That is the liberation, 11th part. Today I am covering the 9th and the 10th parts. So I will switch over to the presentation, sir. This is series 2, episode 5, parts 9 and 10. I am dealing with Pitrayana part 9 now. And later on, in this show itself, Devayana part 10. These are the two modes of the journey of the soul. So as usual, I am putting again the same slide, having come to finish about 7 revolutions of Jupiter, Shashtyabda Purti and Satabhishekam. Satabhishekam at 80 years, 8 months, 8 days, that is over. And therefore 84 years, 7 revolutions are over. So 8th, 9th and 10th, that is 84 to 96, 96 to 102 and 102, 108 to 108 to 120. The average complete Aparamita Ayurveda up to 120 years according to Imsotra Dasha, where we are going to deal with the Pitrayana, Devayana and finally the liberation. These 3 come under the 3 revolutions, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So here at this stage 8, we are now here in Pitrayana and Devayana. Later on, so this is Saturn's 4th revolution and Jupiter's 8, 9 and 10 revolutions.
Okay.
We are talking about it. So the galaxy, the universe is so large and vast that we are only an infinitesimal, not even of the size of an atom. But we feel ourselves at times very proud, and the pride makes us to completely forget certain limitations. That's why to show this, whereas in the whole universe, and this is our galaxy magnified, this is the Milky Way galaxy to which we belong to. And in this Milky Way galaxy, these are all the galaxies all over the universe. And this is the Milky Way galaxy, one of the billion. So in this Milky Way galaxy, we are here at the periphery. So our solar system is not the center of our Milky Way galaxy. Our galaxy is not the center of the universe.
Sir, I have one doubt here.
System is here. And in this solar system, we find the Earth here. The solar system, so the solar system to which we belong to and our Earth is a constant member to this Milky Way galaxy. To this, from the center of the Milky Way galaxy, our solar system is the periphery, about 30,000 light years away from the galactic center and 20 light years above the plane of the galaxy. This is the plane of the galaxy, half down and half above. So this above this half only, this is 20 light years above. And 30,000 light years distance from the galactic center. So 30,000 light years means we can easily imagine that we know Saturn is the farthest planet in our solar system, and Saturn is just 10 light years away. So 10 light years and 30,000 light years, one can easily make out the distance. So part 9 Pitrayana. Every sinner has a future in endless death birth cycle. So having done something bad, we are bound to be reborn. So the 14th world in Hinduism, as I have been telling about it, these are the 14 worlds. I have put it in the pictorial fashion. So this is the Bhuloka. And below the Bhuloka, the 7 lokas, that is the hellish lokas or Nagalokas. There is no sunshine here. And from the Bhuloka, the first one of the upper lokas, or the superior lokas, we find Bhoha, Soha, Mahaha, Janaha, Tapaha, and Satyaloka. So this is nothing but the Gayatri mantra. We have Om Bhoha, Om Bhoha, Om Soha, Om Maha, Om Janaha, Om Tapaha, Om Satyam. Satyalokam is the Brahmalokam, the point of no return. Only a person who has done highly enlightened souls only can set sail through Devayana to Satyalokam and need not return. But again, they have got the option to take birth in order to do something good in this world. So they can appear as a short incarnation and disappear on their own volition. So this is the 7 upper planetary systems, and these are the 7 lower planetary systems. And this Bhuloka contains of Nakshatra Loka, Surya Loka, solar planets, and Chandra Loka of the Bhuloka, the moon of the Bhuloka. The next one is actually the structure of the Vedic universe. Shown here, it is actually Garbhodaka ocean up to this point. The whole thing is filled with water. And these are the 7 Nagalokas inside. There is Vishnu here on the Anantaseshu. The Anantaseshu with all his multiple whole display in the Bhuloka is here. And above that are the other lokas. Up to Satyaloka, Brahma is here. And Shiva is there. And above Brahmaloka, millions of yojanas above. Yojana is 8 miles. In Vedic sciences, the Vedic concept of time, 1 yojana is 8 miles. So above that, some millions of yojanas above that are the Vaikuntha Lokas. And so after going there in Satyaloka, being an associate of Brahma, he can do further spiritual practices and set sail to path of spiritual or Vaikuntha Loka, which are above this Brahma Loka. I have put it in more detail here. Here is Mahavishnu, and these are the 7 hellish lokas, and above it is Bhuloka. The Bhuloka consists of the Surya Loka, Surya Mandalam, and all that, and Mount Meru is there. And after the Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka is there. In Bhuvarloka, there is Mount Meru. And above that is Sargaloka. In Sargaloka, we have Ganapati and Lakshmi. And Ganapati is the head or the ruler of all the 9 planets of astrology. And from there, Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapoloka, and Brahmaloka. Each of these lokas have got a different frequency, just as our Earth has got a frequency of 7.83 to 8. So with a different frequency, when we do good, naturally the subtle body records higher frequency vibrations, and according to the matching of that frequency of that subtle body, it finds place in that particular loka, matching with it. And depending on the height of the loka, when actually we move to Brahmaloka once for all, which is at a height of about 120 billion years, 120 million years, yojanas above, we go to that point, the enlightened soul, they need not return. So that height, Brahma's longevity is nearly already given in Vishnu Purana. And so for this height, if that is the life, definitely arithmetic proportion is there for different lokas. So one day here in any of these lokas, as we go higher up and up, they are more than equivalent in Earth years. Therefore, the greater the good, the higher the loka that one attains, the higher the frequency that matches, and the interval between death and rebirth will be very large. These are the 7 lokas above, starting with Bhuloka, Bhuvarloka, Suvarloka, Maharloka, Janloka, Tapoloka, and Satyaloka. Similarly, the lower lokas, we have got Atalaloka immediately below the 70,000 yojanas, 7,000 yojanas below. Starts Atalaloka, the first hellish loka, and down below is Vitalaloka, Sutalaloka, Talatalaloka, Mahatalaloka, Rasitalaloka, Patalaloka. So we say Patalam. I'll push you down to Patalam, they say. That is the Pataloka is the bottommost point of the Garbhodaka ocean.
Okay.
So here I have put in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna said, there are 2 modes of journey of the soul. That is, Shukla Karne Gati Hete Jagata Saswate Mate Ekayayati Anavritum Ananya Vartate Punaha. Punaha means again you have to be reborn. So these 2 parts of the world, the bright part is one and the dark path is another, are considered to be eternal. By one path, one returns not. He goes to Satyaloka, Brahmaloka, and he has attained liberation. By the other path, one returns to take rebirth on this earth. Whether he will be reborn as a human being or not, it is again dependent on the amount of quantum of good and bad that he does. Similarly, for those who are born, death is Satam, and for those who are dead, birth is Satam, as far as they do not get liberation. So, Jatasya dhruvam mrityur dhruvam janmamratasya asmat apaharya nattam sochitum arhasi. This is inevitable. Why grieve over that?
Correct.
So, death and birth are a phase of life. That's not the end or annihilation of it. So, likewise, when we die, the greater the good, we go to greater heights, the lokas. The maximum, that is infinite good that we do, naturally we set sail to Brahmaloka and we don't return. So here it is already put in as, the Bhagavad Gita again says, Tetam bhuktva sagdalokam vishalam, shine punye martilokam visanti, evam trai dharmam anpraparna, gata gatam kama kama labhante. That is, kama kama gata gatam means as the punya gets exhausted in the higher lokas, having spent there where there is no want, everything is available. And according to that, as you spend more time there, every day your punya gets completely deteriorated, that is reduced, subtracted. After the entire punya is exhausted in the higher lokas, we have to set sail back to be reborn on the earth. So when they have thus enjoyed heavenly sense of pleasure for the good actions, they return to this mortal planet again to be reborn. So here is another scientific example. Science also proved, NASA, that in meteors, the rocks that actually are thrown out by the asteroids, comets and other planetary planets in the solar system and from other solar systems also ejected. There is an interplanetary migration of these planets, transportation of these meteors, rock species. Some mines have started with the precious metals in these meteors. So with these meteors contain ready-made kits of life-building blocks of human DNA in meteors are found. How can you get DNA of the human being, those life-building blocks of DNA in these meteors which are in space? Therefore, the DNA is manufactured there in space. That is nothing but souls of great people whose DNA is there. So NASA has proved it. Here we can find it in our Brihad Samhita. Varamira also says in his Brihad Samhita on meteors, by chapter 33, he states that meteors are divided into 5 categories, namely ignited balls, meteors, thunderbolts, lightning, and shooting stars. It has also been witnessed that at the departure of great souls, a bright star is seen shooting up towards the heavens. We say when we see a comet, Halley comet and all that, some great personality will naturally depart. So when George VI passed away, I saw the comet actually shone right from my portico in the house. I have witnessed it for nearly few hours, as long as nearly 2 lengths of our ordinary broomstick. So Dhruva is a star, we know. And similarly, Saptarshis are stars. And also recently, in our own century, we find, the last century, Swami Vivekananda mentioned the act of Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. Shakespeare is a great philosopher. He has mentioned in Julius Caesar's play of Shakespeare, where Caesar tells Calpurnia, his wife, when she advises him not to go to the Senate because she dreamt a bad dream that he was killed. He said, cowards die many a time, but valiant only once.
Yes. Yes.
And cowards die, beggars die, heavens are not shone, but when princes die, heavens blaze it forth. So the greatest philosophy of Shakespeare also says that. When Vivekananda was born, a star from Vishweshwara temple of Kashi came from there and entered the Chintamani's womb, that is the mother of Vivekananda, which Ramakrishna Paramahamsa witnessed. He then hailed in the presence of so many disciples, "Oh, my disciple has come at last." He jumped in joy.
Yes.
And 20 years later, he met Vivekananda.
Correct.
And again, these DNA molecules, just a small fire will naturally burn our skin. These DNA molecules remain intact, carried by these meteors, running at heavy speed, higher, so more than solar speed, the speed of light, and also at very great combustion temperatures of nearly thousands of degrees of centigrade. They come and with a great impact, and they remain intact. That means they are covered with the jiva, that jivatma. So the atma is indestructible. So there are two things proved by NASA in finding these DNA molecules in meteors, that rebirth is definite, is proved, and that these DNA molecules, highly sensitive one and subject to fire, even a small rise in temperature, have become noticed to be intact, despite heavy combustion temperatures of 20,000, 30,000 degrees centigrade, and also supersonic speeds and great impact of a hydrogen bomb or so, it remained intact. So it surely shows that because it is covered, these things are covered with the Jivatma. Nainam Chandante Shastrani, Nainam Dahati Pavakaha, Nachainam Kledayanta Pavana Sosheti Martaha. Fire cannot burn it, air cannot dry it, water cannot wet it, swords cannot pierce it. That is the nature of the soul. So they are covered with Jivatma, and therefore this great combustion of thousands of degrees of centigrade, or greatest impact of the hydrogen bomb or atom bomb, or that of the flame that comes, the combustion temperature, these things have done nothing for these DNA molecules found. So what is found in science is proved beyond, much before in ageless Vedas. So the Chandogya Upanishad and also the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, especially on the Vedanga side, we find the Pitrayana and Devayana, the journey of the soul, is elaborated to nearly 300 pages. I have updated the whole thing into a pictorial diagram of these 300 pages, the Pitrayana portion of it, for the benefit of the viewers. So the death hasn't come here, I start from this point. The death, the soul separated from the body. The soul sets sail. In the Pitrayana, that is journey of the soul upon death to rebirth of those who performed meritorious deeds. On death, the soul finds the journey, starts here and goes along this path. Soul goes with the mind, prana, the senses and the sukshma bhutas. It sets sail. Only after the ritual is performed after the last, after the death. So the 11 days ritual is completed, then it sets sail. Then it is called apurva. When it is actually the rituals are performed and set sail, the soul is called apurva. Sacrifices assume a subtle form called apurva. And that again, apurva envelops the soul and leads them to heaven to receive rewards in the Chandraloka. The immediate one that we have, this Chandraloka is the moon that is connected to our this thing. But this is only astral. As an astral body, we are moving to Chandraloka, not by rocket or anything. No effort. If you do little good, you can go to Chandraloka with the astral body. So there, one day is stay in Chandraloka for 1 day is one Earth month. 15 days day and 15 days night. Therefore, if you stay there, it is already 1 month. 1 day you stay there, you are absent for 1 month in this land. That's why after the death, every month it is called Masa Masikam or Nala Masikam, they call it. For 3 months they celebrate, they perform the ritual. Feeling that the soul has set sail to Chandraloka, so that is 1 month. For 3 months, that is, every month we feed. It is almost feeding them daily there in Chandraloka. Because it's 1 day. 1 month here is 1 day there. So you perform the ritual every month for 3 months. Every month it is you celebrate. It is reaching them daily food. So from there the Apurva envelops and then again go to Chandraloka. From there, return to the earth at the end of that store of merit. How does it return? After enjoying the fruits of these actions at the various lokas matching with the frequency of the quantum of good, it returns. How does it return? The soul now returns to ether and starts the return process. That is, it goes to space. Ether means space only. It goes from ether to air. The Panchabhuta starts. From air it goes into vapor or smoke. It then becomes mist. It then mixes with cloud. It then rains. There is a Chanakya philosophy saying, when there is rain, there is grain. And when there is truth, there is rain.
Wonderful.
Rain and grain, we know, we have studied that seeds germinate in soil when it is rain and all, there is water. So there is a rain and grain, it is understandable. But when truth is there, rain falls. What is the relationship between rain and truth? So it is this. The souls having done good, go to higher planes, will have to find a vehicle to come back, a conveyance. That conveyance is rain. So when good souls come, they are carried by this vehicle, the rain. The rain brings these good souls to take rebirth on this earth, will bring rain. That is the vessel through which they can come. It is then reborn as rice or corn or herbs or tree or sesame or beans, as the case may be. Who sows this? Which farmer does it? Where does it cultivate this thing? In which part of the country or the world? And when the harvest goes to which market? And who buys these things from which shop? And which parent brings them to the home? And which housewife cooks and then serves on the table? Who amongst the people in the family will eat that particular rice containing this Jivatma? He only procreates, provided he is capable of. He is married and all that. So it then becomes suman, which is the essence of food. It then becomes a zygote and then fetus. One that is born is certain to die, and that one is certain to be reborn. So this is the entire process of Pitrayana. Therefore, if there are heavy rains and floods and damage, there is absolutely no souls at all, good souls coming in. If there are moderate rains and good harvest, sometimes you find even the harvests are actually washed out by the floods. So the whole thing is in the nature. Don't disturb the nature. That's why we say, when you do the morning prayer, I do Brahma Karma Samarabhe Avarodhena. Bhota Pishacha Avarodhena Brahma Karma Samarabhe. Avarodhena means without obstructing to any of these elements that I do the Brahma Karma. And so only if we do that, we get good rain at the appropriate time and good harvest for the population, so that no one is left starving. This is the essence of Pitrayana. So the triple birth is shown here. The first birth will be in the body of the father, who eats that rice or corn or any vegetable or anything in which the Jivatma is embedded. And when that is transferred into the mother, the second birth of the Jivatma is in the body of the mother. And from the mother, the third birth, one's own body. The native comes into life with his horoscope for the date of birth. So this is the end of part 9. And part 10 begins here, Devayana. I have already introduced something about Devayana. We shall now straight away go into the next thing. This is part 10, Devayana, the second part of the present episode. Every saint has a past. He is liberated from death birth cycle once for all. But he has got the option to be reborn, to do some good for the world. Having seen the plights of the people here, he would like to share their good and bad and comfort, give them solace. So, Manushanam Sahasreshu Kasidya Siddhaye Yadatamam Siddhanam Kasinmam Vetti Tattvata. There are people, thousands of persons, hardly one strives for perfection. And amongst those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth, Lord Krishna says.
Wow.
And in that also, who reaches that particular state of perfection and understands the truth of that Lord Krishna, those with all the Pandavas, only few, Dharmaraja recognized him and Pandavas, these 5 brothers recognized him as the Lord. But earlier they were recognizing till Bhagavad Gita was told on the battlefront. They were also considering that he was only a brother-in-law. Only then he revealed himself that Vishwarupam. They came to know that Lord Krishna with whom they were associated is a Lord, the Almighty. So they were fortunate enough. Then Krishna himself says when Arjuna got that thought, Avajanante mam modham manushim tanumasridam parabham ajanante mahabhota maheshwaram. Modhas, ignorant people, think that I am an ordinary human being having taken an incarnation. Only those people who recognize me as the Almighty can only find me in truth. Others feel that I am only an ordinary human being, a mortal. That's why all Kauravas treated him as a mortal and tried to tie him with a rope. So what type of karma that should be done? If you do karma, the action leads to rebirth. All right, I don't want to do action. It is inevitable. You have to act. You cannot keep away from acting. So if action leads to rebirth, and actionless is desire is liberation, but actionless is impossible, and action is inevitable, then what type of action will naturally lead me without any detachment to liberation? That he explains, the Nishkama Karma, that is, you don't have any attachment to the action. You are not doing the action for your own benefit, selfishness, but for the benefit of the large people and of the society. That is, you are serving Madhav Sevaya, Manav Sevaya, Madhav Seva. That is. So, he says, Sarva Dharmanam Partij Mamekam Sarvam Braja Aham Tva Sarva Papebhyo Moksha Isham Asuja. So, throw away all the dharma and other tenets of that. Do good. Don't expect anything for your own self. Then you will attain liberation. So, this is the journey of the soul upon death to liberation in the case of enlightened souls. So, the Devayana is again abbreviated into a pictorial diagram here for the benefit of the viewers. So here, we don't call the death. It is the last, I have put it here as a death, but it's not death. It's a wrong word. But we are all conversant with death, whether a person gets liberation or goes to be reborn immediately or takes the path of Pitrayana, we call it death because of ignorance. But actually, the word in the case of enlightened souls, it is not death. It is the last breath. Akhar swasa, the last swasa of the breath. So, on death, soul separated from the body goes to light. Whether rites are performed, rituals are performed, death rituals are performed or not for 10 days. The soul will definitely go away. It will not wait for the rituals to happen. Actually, a saint has nobody to conduct the ritual except his disciples. And they immediately, on passing away, they get grave and then put him there. Sometimes some people go into samadhi when alive, and when the Japmala stops, like Raghavendra Swami and Vivekananda and others, the last breath is over, then seal the whole thing. So that on death, the soul is separated from the body, goes to the light. So here everything is died. In the very first instance, Lord Krishna said there are two paths, Pitrayana and Devayana. One is the dark path and the other is the bright path. Pitrayana is considered to be a dark path. You have to return to be reborn. But Pitrayana, this Devayana is a bright path. So, person dies only during the daytime. He will not die in the night, in sleep or anything. He will die, he will leave his last breath only in the morning, on his own volition, like Bhishma and others. So the soul goes from light to day. So in the daylight, he goes, and the soul then goes from day to bright half of the month. That is only in the fortnight, Shukla Patsham only. It travels, it dies only in the daytime and travels in the bright path fortnight. That is Shukla Patsham Padhyami to Paurnami. It sets sail and then it goes from there to the 6 months of Uttarayana, the bright path again of the year. So it travels there. Soul then goes to the year of the sun. When it goes to the sun, it's all light. There's no question of day and night. It's all light only. So the soul goes to the sun, the Atmakaraka, it goes and merges with him. But it has got this individual identity as the soul belonging to so and so. Soul then goes from the sun to the moon. Here the moon is different. It is the moon of the Brahmaloka. It is self-shining. Because that light is similar to that of the full moon light that we enjoy here on the earth during the winter times. And similarly, the moon here is self-shining and gives that much of beautiful light on the Kailasa and other Manasarovar and other places. So, soul then goes from the sun to the moon, not the moon of the earth. Earlier, there was a question also from one of the viewers about this. The moon is said to be larger and at a higher than the sun and all that. This moon is that. Our moon is only a satellite of the earth. So from there, it goes to the moon, and from the moon, it goes from the moon to the lightning. So there will be a flash, a lightning. And then this is the divine path, the path of Brahman. From there starts the Brahman, Brahmaloka. So it goes as lightning. The speed of light, it is catapulted to that point to Brahmaloka. And from there, superhuman being takes the soul. Who that superhuman being is not known to the soul. It is taken by him. A superhuman being, Purusha Amanaha, takes soul by hand and leads onwards. He was waiting for such a great person to welcome. Brahma is there to welcome. So he receives. That is the superhuman. He is invisible here at this stage and he is shown as Brahma, the Lord of the Satyaloka, and the soul is taken by hand. So he shakes hand to the soul that has taken liberation. So and then the superior being, this Brahma, is the Almighty, who takes the soul to cosmic waters. So there also he has to take a great holy dip only to enter the Vaikuntha or the Brahmaloka. So the superior being is the Almighty who takes the soul to cosmic waters. The soul then becomes cosmic and universal in nature. He gets the power of that of an Almighty. He can create another universe and that much of energy. The frequency is heavy. The wavelength is short. Here, the electromagnetic theory of the science comes into play. He has a great frequency because of the great good that he did. And when the frequency is high, the wavelength of the light is very small. Very small wavelength of light takes you to see even the atom size. And here the wavelength is so infinite that we can see anything. The whole world disappears. He sees the whole universe in one stroke. like Divya Chakshu. With our eyes, we can only see a limited view of angle. Whereas with Divya Chakshu, you can see the whole universe. Therefore, the soul then becomes cosmic and universal. It doesn't discriminate between this and that as we do, but the whole thing is universal for him. Then the soul reaches the absolute. Those proceeding by this path do not return to the world of humanity. Liberation never takes rebirth. So this is in essence the path of Devayana for enlightened souls who do not return. But still they have got the option to be reborn, either in the orders of the Almighty as Annamaya or Tyagaraja or Dikshita, some others like Vivekananda, Ramakrishna Paramhansa, those who come and often. Because incarnation, the Almighty himself cannot come as an incarnation every time. For every small bad that occurs in this, there are some people as agents who work as an amsha for him and rectify you. Adi Shankara has appeared in the form of incarnation to rectify the Advaita and establish Hinduism when it was actually on the verge of depletion. So Ramanujacharya has come to uplift the downtrodden. Similarly, these avatars come as the agents of the Almighty. The Almighty comes in when sin takes the height of the whole philosophy. So then the question is how to see God in the 14 lokas. Every time we go up or down, how to see God. So it's a fact of human body related to universe. It's more physics and Einstein's theory of E is equal to mc square, the greatest theory for which he was awarded the Nobel Prize and considered to be the world's one of the greatest scientists who did not have formal primary education. That's the beauty of it. So that's the end, the episode 5 and part 10. This is the last but one episode, and the 6th episode is due. That is about liberation, of which we will talk about how to actually work out to attain that liberation and what actually is the mechanism and the mathematics of physics, astronomy or astrology that is involved in it. So we will discuss astrology, we will discuss astronomy, discuss philosophy, we will discuss physics, astrophysics, everything in that to the height of it, because it's a blend of this. So I am proud to say that astrology, people doubt whether it is a science at all. It's a multidisciplinary science. Of all the science of the height have been merged into this astrology, the noblest of its kind. Thank you.
Wonderful, sir. I think.
Thank you, sir.
It's been fantastic, sir. We have been taken through a journey. This time not in space, but a journey of the soul. So this is something very exciting. Sir, I also want to just bring to your notice that we had scientists like Frank Drake and Carl Sagan who believed that there are intelligent beings elsewhere in the universe, and they always spend a lot of time and energy in trying to contact them. And so I think even the world of scientists and astronomers, they're also wondering whether there is life in the rest of the universe. So, but I think they spent a lot of money. They didn't know that the soul was anyway going up and down.
It is a fact that because they believe in that, they are sending rockets, spending billions of rupees to search for the inhabitable planet and also find for the life elsewhere in the universe.
Whereas the Indians say just said you're anyway.
About the anthropocentrism of the mankind and the pride of mankind and his.
Okay.
I told you.
Yes. It's so very interesting.
Source, but they don't contact you. They are not visible.
Okay, they were expecting they'll contact. So that was the failure, I think. Okay.
They are more intelligent, but they fail. They don't establish contact with the lesser human beings.
Okay.
Because their frequencies we are not able to reach.
Good, sir. So I'm sure the subscribers have been given a huge treat, and they're expecting more from you. And each time I see the slideshow, I wonder how did you manage to do all that. And that's something I think maybe you're holding it as a secret. You're not going to reveal it to others how you do it. A lot of
Because astrology
images.
helps us. Astrology helps us to overcome these gray areas and then do something positive to convert the gray into green areas so that we will have everything good in our life. And the good can be converted into selfless service. And the service naturally, selfless service, Nishkama Karma will naturally lead us towards liberation. So
Fantastic.
it is considered that we will take minimum 84 births in order to attain liberation. But one can expedite this number of births and
Okay. So one more thing, sir, about when the Lord Buddha also said there are 7 realms above us and 7 realms below us. Then what exactly is the distinction between Hinduism and Buddhism that when Buddha kept on?
Absolutely not. It is only the practices of approach that is different.
Okay. Fine. Very nice, sir. Thank you so much. And we hope to see you again. If subscribers are wondering why there was a delay in your video, it's actually because of me. I hold responsibility for that, and I'm sure.
Take a journey for long.
Okay. I'll try my best to do the videos more frequently. Thank you, Doctor, for being with us for such a long time and explaining every the more complex nature of the journey of the soul. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.